Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I don't know why I was about to say story, but it is this Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. This is Fire of Love. Today we've watched. This is a National Geographic. Yeah, it's a National Geographic 2022 documentary. It's an hour and 34 minutes long, and it is very much not like any documentary I've seen before. This is, you know what? Watched a lot of documentaries over the last few weeks. They just keep coming. And honestly, there are twice as many documentaries on Disney Plus currently that I have not watched on my list. There's twice as many as anything else that I have. So the odds of getting a documentary are double anything else. 3 to 1, but either way, it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. But the good thing is that there's a lot of diversity in these things, and this one is a prime example. This, I know I realize I might get a little bit of criticism on this, but what if Wes Anderson made a documentary? I'm sorry to the director Sarah Doza, but honestly, the way this is put together, and it's a documentary using for the majority old footage shot by a pair of volcanologists, and with the music choices and the fact that the way these French volcanologists, people who study volcanoes, also write and film and photograph the content, the story of their lives in dealing with volcanoes, you kind of get the idea that maybe Wes Anderson watched some of their stuff. They've been doing this stuff since the 60s, 70s, 80s. And this is not really a big spoiler. I think it's pretty much described right here. Yeah, I'm going to read it right here. A love story of two volcanologists who died as explosively as they lived. Yeah, they're dead. And it's a really strange documentary that's also a romance between two people, and a romance between people and volcanoes. It's also obviously it's a tragedy. At times, the footage that is captured and presented in this, and honestly, some of this stuff, it feels like, did they almost create this? No, I don't think they did. Like, newly created. Most of the footage is in 4:3 aspect ratio, so it's like a box as compared to widescreen like this. I think there's artists, including Wes Anderson, who would kill to be able to get footage like this. Just, if you look at the poster, you just see people standing in what look like spacesuits, standing in front of an active, just gushing volcano. And with some camera trickery, not really trickery, but with some understanding of the depth of field, it looks like they're right up against it. And if they were, they would probably have melted. Even in the protective suits, they look like walking baked potatoes. But there is some shots, some footage that, honestly, it's a horror film. It looks like a horror film. The beginning, the first scene in a apocalypse, like an apocalyptic film. It's the end of the world, and it is in some of these situations where people did not listen to their warnings. I believe it was Colombia, country of Colombia, down in South America. Is it Colombia? Why am I spazzing out right now? The name of a country in South America. Holy cow, what is wrong with me? Colombia. I'm trying to say it in Sofia Vergara's accent. Colombia. There's a reason why these people fell in love with volcanoes and fell in love with the exploration of volcanoes. How they exist, why they get triggered, why do they erupt the way they do, red versus gray. more lava-ish in the red, and more smoke and ash and filth in the air with the gray, which is surprisingly more deadly. With the red ones, you can see it coming. Even if it's fast, you kind of know the path it's going to take, and they explain that in this. None of this reads like your average, like a high school science class documentary. If I got to watch this in school, such a thing existed when I was a kid, I would have been like enraptured with this thing. Because again, there's a lot of subtitles. They are very French. Katya and Maurice Kraft they're very French. I mean, although they met in Germany, maybe they're German. I don't know, but it's really French. I mean, just from, if you know Wes Anderson films, you're going to look, and it's not the director Saradoza. She laid all this out and put it all together. Oh, by the way, narrated by Miranda Joy, who seems like she was born to be indie film narrator. Again, I'm sorry if I'm just leaning into cliches or tropes or anything else, but producing this, just putting this all together, way to go, because you've literally turned this into an indie film documentary that, Wes Anderson would dream of doing this, I think. And again, my understanding of this type of film is limited to Wes Anderson, but he employs the same kind of shots, that kind of person in the middle moving in and out of frame, lots of pulls and pushes and all this stuff with a single character sharing either one action or one emotion. Yes, this is kind of filmmaking existed back in the day because of limitations of how cameras could move through a set or a scene or wherever they were filming. So yeah, you're going to see this a lot more 60s era films, and that's what Anderson is mimicking. This is genuine. This is literally genuine shots, filmed by Maurice, usually. In most of the cases, she's more the photographer, he's more the filmmaker, of just wandering and shooting and shooting and shooting and trying to get everything he can. And the risks they take eventually led to their death. They died in Japan in 1991, almost June 3rd, almost a week ago, a little more than a week ago. In 1991, more than 30 years ago. So that's unsettling. Can you hear the car horn? No edits. So yeah, it's apocalyptic at times. But again, you know how like reality or documentaries or things like that, sometimes reality shows and things like that try to really trump things up, try to, not in that way, try to really sort of manipulate things and make it more dramatic sounding. The way these people interacted with each other, I mean, yeah, part of this is telling their love story, which for the most part would just seem just an odd choice. But this isn't just about volcanoes. It's about the volcanoes that brought these people together through extraordinary circumstances. And with the whole French angle on this, it's a little poetic. It's a little artsy-fartsy in the way it's presented. And that's okay. You know what? I would rather have that than another dry, hey, look, there's volcanoes. People like volcanoes. They are dangerous. They have got explosive properties, and there are rocks flying everywhere, and there's lava. Yeah, we know that. That's it happened over here, and it happened over there. It could happen over anywhere, and there's some things with the tectonic plates. Yeah, I get it. We know that. That's educational, and this is not like it's not educational, but it just sort of captures a pair of weirdos, as they are self-described. Katya even says that in the film. Even amongst their fellow scientists, they see them as weirdos. But it's not like what they did wasn't under scrutiny. There's a point in this where they're just like, is this what they're doing? Is this genuine? Like, is this real? The question is brought up. Because, I mean, yeah, they have to pay the bills too. So she's writing all the books, taking all the photos. He's making the films, doing the tours because he's very charming, and doing the interview circuit on different television channels throughout Europe. Apparently Americans, I don't know if there was a whole lot in America, but maybe Americans weren't really interested in French volcanologists. I don't know. Excuse me. So yeah, this, if you want to see, even if you don't care about volcanoes, but if you do, yeah, there's some breathtaking shots. Again, maybe they upscaled it, made it look cleaned up the shot, and made it look better. But honestly, there is a shot that was taken in Japan at the time and where they died, but taken from a different angle of different people dealing with this kind of thing, filming this thing on the same day that this happened. These clouds, the gray volcano, the gray eruption, consumed an area. They shot it from above, and one cameraman literally just put a camera on a tripod, and they saw it coming, and he just abandoned his camera and left the camera to take what they assumed would have been the brunt of this. You even see like a fire truck and a woman running toward the camera. At first you think it's Katya, but it's not. It's some other people who are doing what they can to get out of that area, and just hear the terror in her voice as they're running. And this may or may not, she was dressed to be able to handle this kind of thing, but you get the idea that this was beyond anything she ever imagined she would be taking on. There is a photo of probably the last moment they shared together. The thing they loved brought them together, and it killed them. And it's tragedy, but it's kind of glorious in some ways. Not their death. There's no glory really in death, but their passion. Yeah, I think the French can agree to that. The passion is for what they loved and what they put out in the world, and not just for like, hey, I'm doing science stuff. This is fun. I like volcanoes. They also were bringing knowledge to people, whether they listened to it or not. Thankfully, the work that they did saved a lot of lives in Japan, if not their own. So I highly recommend this. Yeah, it might, for some people who are a little bit allergic to indie films, it might feel a little pretentious at times. It's very French. You don't have to turn the subtitles on for it. The subtitles are automatically turned on for this film. They're already on the film, part of the film, for American audiences who are not, for the most part, bilingual or multilingual. So, yeah, to me, just, even if they had the sound off, just looking at some of this vintage footage, but it is just astonishing, especially toward the end. Yeah, it's a documentary that builds to a pretty, again, tragic but terrifying climax. And yeah, there's humor in this as well. Don't worry about it. There's some humor in this, but it's an interesting story. So I'm going to recommend this. I say you definitely check it out. You take away from it what you will, however you love film, or however you don't enjoy film or documentaries or indie stuff or foreign stuff. Yes, this is foreign indie documentary. It sounds like poison to most Americans. I realize this, but check it out. I'm not kidding. It's worthwhile checking out. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. 198. Yeah, it's my brain is still spinning on this, and I know I barely touched on some of the stuff that I wanted to say in this. I did not expect to find this overly interesting, but if you have an appreciation for film And just unique stories. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Okay, 198 was already picked, mainly because when I got the Percy Jackson and the Olympians documentary, I also chose Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and that is number 198. All right, there. See that? That one? Scroll over. Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So I have to pick another number. And we did that one a couple weeks ago, so not gonna do it again. 216 was the number. Did I show that to you? 216. 216. Not a long scroll. Oh, dang it! Come on, guys. All right. This might have been due to the previous randomization not knocking out the stuff that was already viewed. 216 was already selected, and that is Queens. So we already watched that. This is weird. I haven't had this happen in a long time. Stuff that we've already watched being selected. Let's try again. 175. All right. Whew. This is 175. Going back. Ooh, so close. 176 was selected. Yeah. Because 176 was Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, and we've already done that one. That was one of the few movies we've done in the last few months, but I have to break it to you. We got another documentary. Oh, I'm tired of documentaries already. I want some variety myself. I know. So we're going to do Mission Pluto. Going to Pluto. Not a planet anymore, apparently. But this Pluto... I just dropped a tablet. We're going to go ahead and take a mission to Pluto. Mission Pluto is what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.